All right. Good morning, everybody. Go ahead and confirm that we are all set. All right. Good morning, everybody. Go ahead and confirm that we are all set. All right. Good morning, everybody. Go ahead and okay, I like the way that sounds. So let's go ahead and get started. So as always, happy Tuesday. My name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets, and it is March 15th, 2022. Welcome. And as we circle back from yesterday's discussion, S&Ps are down approximately 0.5% from yesterday's open. We saw some pretty decent upside volatility leading into another sell swing. And once again, just kind of showcasing what's been working in this market is we do have a very clear downtrending resistance line that the market is responding to quite often. It's not necessarily the best intraday area to get short, but when we're looking at just the grand scheme of this downtrend in the market, it often provides decent sell swings from an intraday to swing perspective. And most notably, we just have to avoid some sort of spike through these types of levels in regards to a short opportunity. So the S&Ps did close weak on yesterday's session, and this was true across the board as we saw the NASDAQ retesting its February 24th lows. We also saw some weakness in the IWM, albeit the relative position of the Russell has been one of particular interest. Usually when we're seeing this type of correlated selling in markets, the IWM tends to be one of a relative weakness overall, as it does have that domestic exposure to smaller cap companies in the US. Albeit what we're experiencing now is that we're starting to see larger market cap and more globalized companies taking some of this ripple effect from the Russian-Ukraine situation and how that's impacting other countries and the perception of other countries moving forward. So what do I mean by this? Well, first and foremost, we did see some news coming out of Apple from yesterday's session. And when I look at what occurred on yesterday's session, where is Apple located, its technical structure, what sort of posture is Apple presenting to us? This is our largest market cap name in the S&P, so it's worth understanding this location. Apple did have some news, the company, about its basically international and overseas production of its products, whether or not that's going to sort of lead into another demand or supply issue in regards to receiving these products from the company facilities that are built out in different countries. Now, bad news aside, as always, I'm more of a technical trader. You're often going to get a more technical picture from me. And what I'm seeing on Apple's chart is we are below the 200-day moving average. And an interesting note that we talked about on yesterday's session, getting below the 200-day is impactful for a long-term perspective overview. It's also important to know not to be too aggressive, because you can have 1 to 2 day sort of look belows. And in those cases, they can offer great buying opportunities. But obviously you want to recover the moving average. You want to see sort of the initial breach and then the potential confirmation, which would be a second day of selling, in this case, to break lower. Apple is opening quite weak this morning. So I want y'all to keep an eye on this today, because Apple, unfortunately, has the posture of something about to lose trend. When I say trend, I'm talking about a trend line that's been in place since the election sell swings and since the COVID low, the first sort of weekly pullback before continuing its uptrend. So this particular trend line is of high interest. One, because it hasn't really been breached as of yet. And two, on the daily posture, right now we are seeing a long-term moving average getting basically violated for the first time in quite a while. I could pull this back to about a 5-year perspective to show this is an odd look for Apple's chart. So understand that, once again, this is starting to impact larger market cap companies. This impact and this outflow of supply chain disruption, economic global impact, and what it's doing to companies that are international companies, these are all things we want to pay attention to as we move into some of these news catalyst events. Some of them are non-events. Some of them are simply just news cycle reporting on what is occurring. But some of them do have underlying impacts to the company, their bottom line, and their profit margins moving forward, along with the perception of whether or not this company continues to be undervalued and whether or not there's going to be more pain ahead for us in the S&Ps. Now, I just want to show an example of what a loss of the 200-day can look like from a company that has a similar overview. This is Microsoft, our second largest company in the S&P and our second largest holding in the tech sector. Microsoft saw similar breaches back in time. This was around earnings. So these impacts were less overall impactful. But what we're seeing right now is another setup where Microsoft lost the 200. We saw multi-days of selling leading into the Feb 24 lows. And as you can see, we've actually been sort of retesting this area as of late. Market continues to show that downside weakness here. And this is a stock that maybe has led in some of this sell-off. Will we see a similar scenario for Apple? And will we have to deal with this type of volatility with the understanding that Microsoft is at its trend line? This is a stock that is already testing this relative trend area, and Microsoft hasn't even lost trend yet as regard to where buyers tend to step in for more of a linear regression style of trade. So as we move forward in the overview from yesterday, and here I think a great way to view this is to kind of see some of the performance from yesterday. So I'll go ahead and bring up our trading terminal created by BBT. I just want to show yesterday's performance. Things like financials stood out. They started off the session quite strong. They actually had a bit of an upside move. What this particular overview is not showing is the range of the movement. So yes, financials did close in the green. Basically, they closed higher than Friday's close. That is notable because buyers were able to sustain some of this relative performance. We also saw healthcare slightly up on the session. We'll look at a couple of those underlyings in just a moment. And I want you to start to look and see what type of day yesterday was. Yesterday was a sell energy kind of day. Now, normally, whenever we see energy weak on the session, other areas of the market are strengthened. Usually when you see things like metals down on the day, these are sort of the flight to safety areas of the market as of late. You see other areas of the market start to outperform, basically a little rotation going under the hood. Yesterday was not quite like that, and I want to look at this a little bit more closely. But whenever I see the type of underperformance yesterday on metals, XME, for example, we can also just look at what's been in play. The gold performance, this is topped out. Once again, very similar look to crude. People are interested until they are not. And this is, of course, all tradable events. They're all parabolic setups with their own areas to consider getting short. They're all also areas to profit take. If you've been in these trades, you're obviously looking at a first extension, maybe first targets being met, and obviously looking to see how the pullback forms. In this case, looking at previous resistance turn support in a lot of these cases. But you also had energy down. Now, this chart doesn't look as if energy really took too much of a beating, but let's look at the underlying asset here. Let's talk about crude's performance over the past couple days. This has seen parabolic rise and it's seen parabolic decline. So moving forward, will this be bought? More than likely, we will see some bounces moving forward. But the consolidative nature of such a parabolic move typically leads to this being a set top for the time. Usually for enough time for us as traders to take advantage of that volatility range basically in the future, basically to sell against the high, to stay out of the pullback until it's well confirmed, and then to avoid some of the trade in between that range and anticipating new all-time highs or new relative highs. It's simply too parabolic to expect that moving forward, and usually that's not going to be a successful strategy. Will the market be looking at natural gas next? We've already seen the performance of gasoline. If you've experienced this at the pump, this is of course taking a similar sort of parabolic rise and then that sell swing back to the downside. Very similar to what we do on the intraday session. Assets get too far too fast. You want to try and avoid some of that parabolic move. If you're not in the trade, you chase it slightly, but you define your risk. And then when it tops out, you tend to short or fade the pullback with the understanding that usually it can give back the entire volatile move. These are just sort of technical strategies that are consistent, no matter the asset class, no matter what's going on in the world. Human behavior, technical analysis, and this sort of pattern recognition is what we do. And this is how the markets tend to work, no matter the asset. Now, this is the energy look, this is the metal look, but shifting back into the sector that outperformed yesterday, and we'll look a little bit as to why. Financials. When you look at this chart, you'd say financials actually outperformed yesterday. What the heck is that? That is a pretty nasty looking selling type candle. It's actually a bit of a rejection near possible resistance point. You'd also look at healthcare and you say, healthcare outperformed? What exactly happened yesterday? We rejected the 50 and the 200 on the same session. So what we're looking at yesterday is almost a complete risk-off scenario. And if you follow some of our moderators on Twitter, Artie in particular, I'm starting to call him out because he's a bit of a little genius. He's starting to discuss these topics more and more as we enter potentially a late business cycle in the market. Now, yesterday's performance can be somewhat blamed on the rise of interest rates. If I were just saying what tends to perform whenever interest rates are breaking out, my first guess would be financials. Maybe a little bit of energy, but I definitely want financials to lead the way. TNX broke out to new relative highs. And what this means from those who are unfamiliar is that this is the 10-year Treasury Index, which is tracking the 10-year yield in regards to how much you're getting paid to own these particular notes. When you look at 21.4 as the price of this index, it means that these particular products are paying out 2.14%. And you can look at them through different charts. You can do the TYX for the 30-year, looking at about, let's kind of narrow that in, about 2.47 at the relative high, and these close very strong. So I do expect them to continue to rise. You can look at 5-year FVX, starting to kind of close the gap between the 10 and the 5, almost approaching 2.1%. And then you can also just pull up something like a chart that shows all of them in a tabular or visual format. In this case, I'm just at the treasury.gov website. And all I'm doing is showcasing these different yield values across the different year expiries. So whether you're looking at short dated, 1 to 3 month, in this case, we just looked at the TNX. So the 10-year, 2.14%, same chart, just different way to display the data. And then the 5-year we just saw was about 2.1% near the close. So all of this is showing this similar information. And what we're seeing is the bond market, TLT, not only fresh lows on the session, but I want to call out specifically, this is a gap down into a sell-off of a key support area that broke down yesterday. This is a very important level for TLT, and we are seeing a sell swing on a gap down. That's very impulsive of the market to do. In order for them to recover that, we would need to see a very sharp rejection, basically a return into this range. But if the selling continues, I'd be looking at downside targets in this product, specifically about 129.50 for the TLT, which is a previous range resistance turned support before we saw some performance moving forward. You can also be looking at IEF. You know, if you're just looking at different ETF products to trade, then understanding that these sell swings are starting to affect these particular products. They've been on the decline for quite a while. Interest rates have been rising most of this year. And this all, you know, for the most part, started with this high volume sell at the beginning of the year. Now, as we're looking at these more, I would say, U.S. government-backed products, we'll also shift our discussion into some high-yield products. HYG and JNK tend to be the two top ETFs that showcase this. And what's going on under the hood here is we're actually seeing a very risk-off appetite for this market. Markets are selling higher yield debt. This is typically B, double B. Some I don't think these hold triple B, but they're higher yield, they're higher risk. They typically have a potential default rate. And when these spreads widen between what's backed by the US government, what's backed by a company, these are often showcasing the appetite scenario of the market. Whether that ratio is tightening or widening, and usually the impact it can have for holders of these products, along with the underlying firms that supply the actual instrument itself. So we'll discuss this a little bit more tomorrow. I see some questions in the chat about the yield curve inversion. This is what I'm preparing for tomorrow. A lot of this is higher level, so understand maybe a little bit about this leading into tomorrow. But the idea here is that the market across the board is showing a risk-off appetite. No matter where you look, the market simply can't get out of its own way. And what we're seeing is that even leading into this federal FOMC discussion, the market's preparing for, you know, an eventual, potentially another sell swing. You know, it's preparing for another event in the market. And what we're looking for is the counter. That's always the case. We're looking for the counter to these moves, but understand that there really is very few places in this market to hide as a long. A lot of people have called out utilities. I do agree. It was a very impulsive move. I'll be looking for that sort of higher low scenario. And ideally, I'd love to see this chart break out, because if we do get a breakout, we can expand this entire range. The idea here being simply, if utilities are the next play, this play can be lasting for multiple months. This can set up a trade that can be a long-standing trade moving forward. And as a long bias trader, you want to have some exposure in markets that are moving in your favor, not necessarily fighting the trend in other areas that the market is not providing that opportunity. So some other things to kind of call out. Let's see, and this one's kind of odd, so I'll kind of just say it more simply. A lot of people in the day trading community, they have one or two of these volatility ETF/ETN products. What these are ways to gain exposure to the volatility futures market in a stock-related fashion. So most of the time, these VXX, UVXY, there's some other ones that I don't necessarily look at as often, but they are tradable, VIXY, and then of course a short way SVXY. So no matter which side of the table you're on, there are always products that kind of track these different short to medium term volatility futures. I highly recommend looking up their prospectus if you're interested in any of them. Yesterday, however, we got some information about one that's been on my watch list for a while. This particular ETN, along with another one from Barclays, which is oil. They are experiencing such high volatility in these products that their ability to issue new shares is actually become impacted. And this has happened before in the past. There have been some legacy products that have been shut down essentially due to the beta that they're trying to carry. But in moments of high volatility, there have been other instances where these products have shut down. What I'll say about this is look into these two ETNs. If you've ever traded them or if you're invested in them, review whether or not this is something that you want to hold moving forward. And for myself, I would say that because this product is no longer working the way it should, as you can see, there's a big spike in this product yesterday. And what was odd was that a similar product did not have the same volatility. Normally, these trade pretty much in tandem. They're off by a couple of percent. They're tracking different futures. But all in all, I should see about 1 to 2% in one reflective of the other, with a very small deviation in between. Yesterday, things were way off, and we knew something might be going on under the hood. We just didn't know what. So turns out there was some news. Please read into that. And for myself, I'll be taking this particular product off of my tradable watch list. It's a broken product to me. I don't like trading things that are broken, no matter what the opportunity looks like. So please feel free to do that yourself. And if you do have it on your watch list, find an alternate, UVXY, and I will be looking at VIXY because I do see that it tends to trade in the millions. This is one of the requirements I need for something that's highly liquid. So these are products that should trade very similar to each other. Last but not least, we did see some downside pressure once again hitting the China-related stocks. Here I have KWEB, which is just the China Internet ETF. But this is a bit more broad than just these particular products. This is the FXI, which is more the large caps of China. And these are different exchanges as well. So whether you look at GXC, the spider version, or the FXI, these are all on very precipitous sell swings. So this has been hitting this market for a long time. Obviously, it's been an underperforming market overall. That is not news that's going to surprise anyone, no matter how far out I pull this chart. These things have topped in the midst of basically early last year and have not seen relative support since. What's going on right now, though, does feel a bit more panic. And the idea, trying to speculate maybe what is the rationale behind this, because a lot of the news that we've heard should be somewhat priced in. For example, delisting risk, that has been known for quite a while. Every once in a while, we get another news article, another mention of different companies starting to experience this potential delisting, shakes up the market for a day or two. But when I look at a more overview of the entire China market, this type of selling seems a bit more panicky. And what I'm thinking short term is that there might be some underlying risk for these types of companies in regards to what has happened in Russia and Ukraine. Understand that this is speculative, but I think there's an investor mindset that if anything were to take place in regards to China, this impact and what it has done to the Russian economy can start to leak into these companies. So a bit of a leading, I would say, a leading rush for the door in a lot of these names. And this panic sell, if it turns out to be a non-event, will likely be something that is tradable. So I want to keep an eye on these stocks. I want to understand more about what's going on here. Why is this sell swing so powerful? Why is it falling off a cliff very steeply? And why is it impacting more than just the specific companies, that are impacted by known information? You know, a lot of this bad news should already be priced into these markets. What's happening now seems different. So keep these on watch. Obviously, as day traders, they're highly volatile, so they should definitely be on our watch list for intraday trade. They have plenty of range. Even if you're looking at some of the car company names, like for example, XPEV yesterday, I just want to show the type of intraday opportunity that these stocks are offering. First and foremost, the sell swings in the morning are very momentum style, but even on the bounces, we're talking about over 20% of move from low to high. This is absolutely wild volatility. And as a day trader, you want to have stocks like that on your list because they're moving. They're giving you range. They're giving you opportunity to be wrong for a period of time and then see yourself be right whenever your trade is in your favor. But bigger picture here, I also want to know a bit more about what's going on in this sell swing. And I think we'll know more as the time, proceeds, but there is something amiss here. Once again, just kind of thinking about this from other areas, a lot of banks are starting to report their exposure to different markets. For example, Credit Suisse had a lot of exposure to some of the Russian accounts. We had Deutsche Bank. That one definitely had major exposure, and that one took a nasty sell swing. So a lot of this ripple effect, the global and geopolitical situation we find ourselves in, be thinking about the immediate impact. That's obviously going to be important. It's going to be good for short-term trade. Once that's over, think about the secondary, the tertiary, and the ripple effect it has on markets. Who's impacted? Who had the exposure to these firms? What happened in nickel? It's a similar situation with the London Metal Exchange. I won't bring that up. I don't remember the ticker name for nickel, but I think JJM was the ETF. They had to shut down the London Metal Exchange for a period of time because one firm had so much exposure to nickel and basically had to start borrowing from JP Morgan. I don't know why this is skewed. Okay. So some of these banks are exposed right now. We're getting this information. These are all tradable opportunities, but we need to be careful about the ramifications here, bigger picture. So keep that in mind. This is kind of a time to put your nose to the grindstone. Start reading, start understanding the effects that this is having. Start thinking about what can be next. What is the impact? Where's the risk? And how to proceed in this market with the understanding that we're small fish here. We're trying to basically survive and find those trends before they are evident to the rest of the market. So As always, trade safe. Stay tuned for pre-market prep. We'll look at this a bit more in depth tomorrow. And obviously we have the Fed. So we'll look at that once that starts to come out. That'll probably be for Thursday's session. So as always, we'll talk more then, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Feeling a
I
little less normy this morning.
I don't know how you're gonna come in today. So is it this Norm? Is this Thor? What's
Uh,
happening?
I thought about it, and then I was like, nah, not twice in a row. I can't do that,
Oh,
but
good, my friend. Oh,
almost.
good.
So close.
But guys, for those that don't know, this is Thor, not Norm. Thor, good morning, my friend. We have an amazing, well, not amazing. We have a very long gappers list this morning, so a lot going on here very early on. Airlines leading the way. So I didn't get a chance to pull that up yet to find out what's going on there. But airlines leading the way this morning, and a lot of stuff in the red today, including my good old buddy Baba is back in the red again. I mean, it's just a meltdown that's going on here. All the Chinese stocks down 3.4 of 3.9. I mean, it's just insane. Cannot wait to get into all of that this morning. But first, before we do that, Thor, give us the latest and greatest on the overall market this morning.
Hey, sure thing. So not a lot going on. I mean, we got some small like manufacturing index stuff that came or coming out at like right about now, but nothing that we really like hinge the market on. The real thing that's going on with stock markets, or that's going on, is the markets fell again yesterday, obviously, and as a combination of rising COVID cases in China, the China's market, the war in Ukraine, worries about the Federal Reserve raising interest rates this week for the first time since like 2018, right? This is all like really, you know, kind of gotten people a little concerned that might not be the best time to buy. So there's been a lack of major progress in the Ukraine-Russia talks. So that's added on to the nervousness. So, and then apparently there's some new growing potential for some new China tensions between China and the U.S. As Washington warned Beijing against providing military or financial help to Moscow. So always good when the big dogs start threatening each other. Oil prices tumbled more than 5%, with Brent crude back at $100 on concerns about demand from China after the country put some areas into lockdown to fight the spread of COVID-19. This has also put some pressure into Apple because one of those places that were shut down for COVID-19 is one of the locations from one of Apple's largest iPhone manufacturing facilities. So that's putting a little extra pressure on Apple, ergo tech. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that and see kind of how everything is going there. So earlier this morning, data from China exceeded market expectations, but this failed to shake off the jitters. So market's still finding itself, a little bit, concerned. At least, on the daily, we do find ourselves down a little bit in the early part of the pre-market, but now have found ourselves gapping back up above previous day's close. With some volume. So I know futures have recently started to look a little brighter. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Just throwing around a couple of just tickers that are kind of looking out. One, we've got some earnings stuff coming out through the Delta and Airlines. Also, because of fuel and everything like that, I think airlines and travel are starting to see some pressure. So I think that's going to be a good sector to keep our eye on today. Will probably be travel with multiple airlines reporting, and then fuel. So it should be enough to keep it going. So that's about it this morning.
I like how you said there's not much going on, but it sounds like there is a little bit going on. You had it all down packed there, my friend. So there's some stuff happening.
Couple things.
But yeah, a couple of things. All right, guys. So Delta Airlines, again, United, American Airlines, a lot of stuff leading the way here this morning on the travel side. You even got the cruise lines, right? Because they also get affected by this. You got CCL and NCLH also on here on deck. So big travel stuff, heavy on that side. Oh, is that JetBlue? JBLU? It is JetBlue.
Yeah.
We typically don't look at JetBlue on our gappers list, but they're making an appearance this morning. So travel, even Airbnb, which is somewhat travel type, not really, but it's in that travel tourism at least. That is even on here this morning. So
one thing that's coming out with them is I know Delta and UAL, they both have raised their revenue forecasts. So although their earnings may not have been spectacular, their forecasts are actually up. So I think there's a lot of although it's COVID's going up in China, China seems to be the only country that realizes there is COVID still. Everybody else pretty much over it, right? I mean, you can kind of see that across the board. I mean, I don't know if you, I'm in Florida, so it's kind of been over it for about a year now. But I mean, just about everywhere you're going now, you just
did it? I don't think you ever started in Florida. Did it even start? Like,
I mean, it might have started here
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the U.S., but
but
I don't think
yeah,
I ever paid attention to it.
things are getting a lot more lax. That is for sure. But yeah, we'll see what's going on there. Take a quick look at what we had on our list yesterday, guys. We had Baba on deck, which again continues to sell down. Today they're down another 4%. It's going to stay right here in this number one spot. Just an incredible stock lately. It's been trading very well with great continuation. Here's Apple. Apple this morning, it was red. It's flat. Yesterday was the only stock on my list that actually shows some strength in after the bell. So pre-market was a little on the weaker side, although it had gapped up. I believe it had a little sell down. And then here at the bell, it definitely took off. It was real nice towards the long side and then towards the short side. Once the SPY started kind of dragging everything. I'm showing you guys the wrong chart. Here it is. I'm in a different window doing my thing, and here's where we are. Again, after the market started kind of pulling everything down a little bit, you can see that on there. We had NEO as well. NEO, on the other hand, again, not as clean, but you did get a beautiful drop, as many stocks did later in the mid morning type plays. Actually was okay. You had an initial drop here and then a pop as well. So again, not the cleanest, but you definitely had some good opportunities. Actually, throughout the entire day, though, just compare chop. Look at this. I was looking at it. It's just, man, look at this. It's just nastiness here, back and forth action. Really nothing going on.
Oxy is what a stock looks like as it starts to approach balance. So what we've had going on now is we've had this big rip in the market on oil, and now people don't think the prices are gonna drop, but they also don't think the prices are necessarily going to keep going now. And if you look across kind of the sheets, most of the news articles out there are stuff like tread lightly if bullish on Oxy, right?
Yeah,
So everyone's starting to recognize that the stock's really made a big move. It's gotten near $60 and it's stalled. So if you're expect more of the chop, right? We've transitioned from $40 up to just shy of $60. That was a value move, right? So, and now the market's reassessing oil at this new level. So until it breaks out or it specifically moves in a direction, I would expect more chop from oil as the market kind of weighs that in.
I agree. It has been a very big move for them the last couple of days in a very, very short period of time as well. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how that's going to play out here, guys. And then some other ones that were not on my list that people threw at me on Twitter that they traded. They had AMD, which did pretty well. They had the other one was, I believe, Nvidia as well. Again, some real good ones here that traded very nice. You guys took advantage of. So let's get to our list this morning. Let's remove what we had yesterday, Control A, Control X. And then we'll get into our watch list today. Let's starting with United Airlines. So let's look at the travel companies. I like United Airlines, so I'm going to put that one on deck here. So UAL for me for sure. American Airlines, I think you can watch two today, given the way this is building up this morning. So we'll look at both of these. We'll do levels for both, and then we'll, you can pick which one you prefer on your end. JetBlue is on here. I usually don't look at JetBlue. What is they're very, very light on volume, seems like. So I think with the United and American, I think you're set. Maybe even Delta might give you some more action. Here's Delta as well. They got good volume today, 521,000, up 7.6. So either one of these you can look at. I'm going to stick with these two for the most part. We skip one here, Holly. Holly this morning, no good. Up 12%, 254,000. But what company is this? What is this? Holly's Automation is a car company.
It's
Astra
Space.
Okay,
Small
doesn't really
vehicles,
have
big
to. Yeah.
opportunities. So car deal.
Okay. All right. So again, it looks almost for him. Not sure, but either way, you can tell here this is just not a great pre-market. Go ahead.
Oh, never mind. I for a second I thought I typed in the wrong ticker, but because it's I got Holicity on my thing, but then the chart came up on the thing HOL, so I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah. So again, whatever it is, that's not looking good for us, so we're gonna skip on that one. That's leading the way up 12% this morning. All right, let's head down here. AMC. Let's take a look at AMC. So AMC making some noise here. It is up 3.2, 597,000. Man, this stock has come back down to reality, guys, right? How about that? You guys saw, remember the breakout here. Actually started before that. The action started. It wasn't in February 2020. Yeah, here's when the madness of the GameStop Wall Street stuff began. I believe was there.
Yeah, so AMC's actually got some interesting kind of like crypto kind of news going on right now, which if you take meme stock and add crypto, I mean, that sounds like jet fuel to me. But that's what we say, EV crypto. Now, so what it looks like the theater operator, their fund manager, Eric, is going to invest 56 million in Highcroft mining. So I don't know what that ends, but that's going to end up being about 22% of this gold and silver miner. So it's very, very interesting to see what's going to go on here, at least what that looks like. But people are seeing them making some money moves, and I think that's got people interested in what they're up to. I was kind of thinking maybe they came out with like a new, better theater, but no, we're investing.
Yes. Man, I haven't been to the theater in so long, and not because we haven't gotten around to it, but it's so difficult when you have your setup at home with the kids, and you can stream something from Disney, and sometimes you have to pay for the movie, whatever it is, and be in the comfort of your home and your large screen TV. It's difficult to get out,
absolutely.
man. It's difficult to get out, especially with the little ones. Yeah.
When what was it? I think it was like when Encanto came out, and we wanted to watch that. The Disney digital premiere or something like that was like $20. Well, I can't get four tickets to a movie theater. Me, the wife, and the kids. You can't get that for $20. So the price point's there. I got a big TV with Bose surround sound, so can't beat the sound there. So yeah, what's the point, right?
And you can pause to go to the restroom, so that's a big plus as well.
Yeah, pause, go to the restroom. You don't have to pay theater prices for the butter popcorn. I mean, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win, my friends. Guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very, very much. We're sitting at 101. We'd love to be at 250 plus. That is like our standard if we can get to at least our goal. AMC as a possible.
Standard. My standard's like 221.
Do not listen to Thor. Do not listen to Thor here. AMC, guys, on the secondary list, we'll leave that right on there. Heading down, we have NCLH. So some of the cruise lines, I'm going to look at CCL. You know what? Although they're gapping up 2.4, their volume seems a lot lighter for the type of news we're getting with the airlines, right? I mean, look at American 1.3, United 300,000, which actually for them that's pretty good. CCL at less than 500,000 is not great for them. For them, we've seen them be very explosive. We'll still put them as a possible. See if anything shakes out of there in a couple of minutes. But man, talk about the travel sector continuing to just crush the gap up list this morning, and crypto with AMC there as well. Then nothing else here looks good because Side doesn't look great. It's all travel stuff. See what's gapping down this morning. Oh, if you guys did not see this, look at if you're not following us on Twitter, please do. So it's a lot of great stuff being posted. Ed posted yesterday his one of his members' trade, I believe, on Coop, or his trade on Coop. And man, what a trade it was. They traded at this earnings last night. Ed in his chat room, he's usually trading earnings. So if you're looking to do that, you can hop into his room, and there's some notable earnings coming up, and he'll most likely be trading. And they crushed this one. I believe they got in here for the continuation on that strategy that they do. So just incredible stuff. Here's Coop today, guys. They are down 27.6, obviously on earnings, I just mentioned, 538,000. Now, I don't think I ever traded this, Thor. Not sure if you have. So I'm not sure how it is for intraday plays. It looks very, very risky. I'll tell you that right now. Just looking at the action right now, I mean, we're low of the pre-market 62, high 66. You want to make sure you're managing your risk accordingly on this one, taking an acceptable share sizing for your experience, account size, and just overall just mental health there.
Oh yeah,
for
you
when it
got to
comes to
think about
trading.
too. Ed over in the jungle over there, which that room is fun, man, and they're really
Yeah,
taking
yeah, it
some
is.
killer trades over there. You guys just have to remember, on something like Coop, this is an earnings play, it's an after hours play, so you're not going to have stops. There's a very specific method that Ed is
Mm-hmm.
using in order to manage and hold risk on these. He's using certain stop methods of distance so that he can run like a tighter RVR on what is otherwise a very dangerous stock. So, but if you can get that figured out, the move that he caught after hours on Coop, it was 3 times, I think, the move that stock made throughout the day prior. So,
Yes.
it was an aggressive
Yeah.
move for sure. It was a beautiful catch to see him in his room get, but this would be well outside of my edge. I don't trade anytime the market's not open, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't, man. I like my stops to trigger.
I hear you, my friend. We'll see what Coop does today, guys. Again, very active right now, down huge this morning. We'll keep that on deck. HUSA, I think the fun is over for now on these things. I mean, they might be coming down here, but I think if you look at the volume, we had the one initial pop here, good continuation throughout. I just don't know how it's going to be for intraday trades. I think they'll still be active, and depending on your trading style, you might be able to, catch some action on this. I'm going to keep them off my list for now. I just don't think it's going to be great for the most part. Becky, I honestly do not like the way this thing trades. They're down
Brian
9
Pesum will
points.
be watching it, but
Yeah, Brian Peasant, he loves this stock. He loves it, loves it.
I don't
So
know.
um, we'll put it as a secondary list just for him, in honor of him there. But yeah, I usually stay away from this one. All right, let's see our good old Chinese stocks. Neo on deck here. We have
Man,
XBEV.
these things are just
We
getting
have,
raked, man.
yeah, we
Like,
had,
do you remember when Neo used to be like a $50 stock or
yeah,
something like that?
yeah,
How high
yeah,
did
yeah,
this
yeah.
thing get? $45, $50 or something like that? Yeah, sitting at a cool
Yeah,
13.27 right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. Just, man, it's just
With a
madness.
bearish ladder too. This thing looks
Yeah,
like it's still gonna sell. If you're looking at the order book, it still looks like all of the weights to the downside. This thing
I
is,
mean, we are
it's been a rough
clearly
road for Neo these days.
on a major downtrend on this stock, and not just because of the war and stuff going on. I mean, this thing's just been doing bad overall
Mm-mm.
since November. I mean, it
This
has,
thing's been doing bad since
yeah,
July.
yeah, it
It's
has not
been on a
been,
straight down since
yeah,
July.
it has not been good for them, and everything else happening is definitely not helping. So, not looking good for Neo, guys. Here, volume 3 million. They are definitely in play today. We'll keep an eye on them here. You know what my concern is on some of these Chinese companies now, like Baba and JD, that we're getting to the point where it started to get a little scary. If these things get halted by China or whatever, just because of what's happening. Right, that is my concern now, because the news there continues to be bad overall about tickers being with the SEC. It's just too much going on that I don't like those catalysts to tie up my money. So we'll see.
Mhm.
Things are getting a little bit concerning there, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Here's Neo, guys. Neo's good. Oxy, Oxy, it could be okay. More of a possible, to be honest, on this one for now. And let's head on down. MRO. No, that is no bueno. Baba.
No bueno.
Baba's down. Man, how many times can Baba gap
Baba's
down?
been just
I
Baba's
mean,
been doing it too. Now Baba's a little different actually. Baba's order book actually looks strong right now, like it wants
yeah,
to bounce, but we'll have to
yeah.
see how this thing opens. This thing is so far from VWAP on the daily. It's almost difficult
It's
to even
yeah,
think about
yeah,
shorting this thing.
right.
However, the trend has been quite to the downside.
It
So we
has.
can't just
It
assume a
has.
bounce. But if you look at yesterday's volume, we had a lot of volume yesterday
Yeah.
comparatively on the daily chart. Today gapped a bit, but if there's any kind of rally in this market at all, Baba's where I'm probably going to look for a clean bounce. But right now, it's not that day. But
Yep.
but
Yep.
see, Jared's kind of thinking what I'm thinking. Jared's kind of saying, I think an oversold rally is coming. Just got to find it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm alluding to. I just think at some point this thing's just going to squeeze itself. If nothing
Yeah.
else, it's just going to have a big squeeze as some shorts start to grab profit. That'll bring a few bulls in. It'll be enough to squeeze the weak-handed shorts out, and we'll get like a $10 rally back up to $100 or something, and then we'll figure out what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
But
guys,
that should, when does that happen today? Probably not, but we'll keep
yeah,
an eye on
yeah.
it.
Timing.
Could be the sleeper.
Timing is going to be the key on that one, my friends. We'll have it on here, guys. 2 million shares looking pretty good this morning. We'll stop here. The list goes on, but we will stop here on our gap down list. Thor, anything we have anything you have on your list that maybe we have not gotten to just yet?
Right now, I'm very interested in just seeing what the market is, how the market's going to open in general. The SPY has been. We were watching yesterday as the SPY kind of sold back down into the lows of this range, and today it wicked it, but it immediately bought out of it. So we do seem to have a strong support level on SPY around, let's just call it 415 to be general, and it's been bouncing consistently at that level. So with that in mind, could the SPY rally today a little bit with some other things being fairly oversold? Maybe. Maybe today is a day we get a little bit of a move back on all of that. However, we got to have the volume and we got to have the right opening position. So right now I'm seeing a lot of indecision. Yesterday was a really wild day in the SPY. I don't know if you guys, especially people who use Bookmap, caught the way the order book on the SPY looked yesterday. It was very bizarre. 25 lot orders spread out every like 10 cents all over the order book. It was very, very bizarre. But with that, as not expected, the SPY basically chopped around for the first half of the day off of that balanced book, and then finally sold a titch. Otherwise, closed out pretty good. So I'm going to be looking at the market to see if it holds and bounces. If it bounces, I'm going to pop over to travel probably and see what's going on over there, because I think travel is going to play today. So that's probably where I'm going to spend most of my attention.
Yep. They're definitely looking good there. Let's take it over to our list, to our chat room. See what you guys have this morning. We will start with who do we have here? Trader Abi, you giving us Roblox this morning. Let's take a look here. RBLX. What do we have? Earnings or some kind of news? I see some action just a couple of minutes ago on it. And no, not earnings, because earnings was last month. So they got something though, because usually that you don't do this unless something is causing you to do this type of back and forth action. It's not with heavy volume, but enough that's got to be something happening. So at the moment, I don't see anything
They
great.
reported some key metrics today. I'm looking
Yeah.
to see what those metrics were.
All right.
They reported daily active users were up 28% year over year. Hours engaged were up 21% year over year. So they're I think a lot of people are just seeing that they're doing their that they're still making progress. I know my son was really excited that they had an upgrade that came out yesterday or something like that. So he was really stoked about that.
Yeah, my daughter's into it too, man. But I gotta sit and watch her because some funky stuff can happen there. But yeah,
Man, that is not the word.
yeah,
Yeah, we've had sometimes I walk by the room, I'm like, what on earth is that? I go in there and I'm like,
let
This
me
is
see
in
the
here.
messages. I stay with her because
Oh my gosh, yeah.
you just don't know. She's a little bit older now. She can read, so you got to be careful. Okay, let's take a look here, guys. Roblox. I'll put as a possible for now. We'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at mRNA. I see a lot of you guys throwing that one out today. mRNA this morning, up 4.1, 103,000 shares traded,
Naturally.
and I mean, it looks pretty quiet. We're up 4.1. I don't see anything great
I mean,
about it
this
just
one's
yet.
probably going to be because of this. The China numbers are surging on COVID
Oh
cases, so
yeah,
naturally,
that's right. That's
Pfizer and
right.
mRNA are probably going to
Yep.
rally a little bit
Yep. They're
because
gonna
everyone's going to, more shots.
more shots, more shots. Yep, absolutely. So that's good for them
Shot,
there.
shot, shot, shot,
Yeah,
shot,
right.
shot. No, too
um,
early.
we do. No, it's never too early, my friend. Especially for us day traders. Here, 142, 170 yesterday, and today gapping up another 4.2. You know what? You bring up a good point. That type of catalyst. I mean, mRNA has dropped obviously back to somewhat reality here, but you guys remember this thing was well above 300, 200. Did it hit five? Yeah, it did hit 500. I mean, just the insanity here. So it can easily, get some stuff going here. It can definitely run. All right, we'll keep that one as possible for now. Roblox is
Actually,
good.
mRNA,
Yeah.
just to separate it from the pack,
Mm-hmm.
mRNA actually has a new. They're trying to put out a new using their mRNA sequencing to create a vaccine against HIV. So they're gonna try and hit at that. So I think some people are getting excited about mRNA as well because that would obviously be pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Um, HYMC, yeah, more of a penny stock. So I won't not my deal. But yeah, definitely in play, guys. 52 million shares traded. So you got some action on this one. If this is your style, this thing is up 102%. Mining, Highcroft Mining. So this mining company is getting some action this morning. All right, let's stop here. Let's take it over to um to our list here this morning. So we have over on YouTube. Let's look at AMC is good. AGRI. No, AGRI is no good. I mean, this thing, it has volume. You had a pop of 4.8. But just look at this. I hate these type of plays. They had the pop here, go sideways, and then just start dropping down. Right. This is, and look at the daily too. Man, this is just horrible. So be careful with this, guys. You're just not you're not getting any action on this as far as price action to be able to trade this effectively. So don't be fooled by that 4 million. Don't be fooled by that up 4.8. This thing does
4
not
million,
look.
that's a little high. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. So again, just be careful on that one. AMC, we have that one's looking very good. Thank you for that one. Tesla, we have not looked at Tesla today. Tesla this morning into the green slightly. Volume is a little bit light right now, only 423,000. That can pick up. But at least there's one EV here that hasn't, gone completely to the dumpster here. They're holding obviously 700 there. Hasn't been great so far, but they're holding. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't see it
they've
in
got this
play. You got any
incredible
news?
value area just around $700 that it accumulated on for probably about half a year before breaking out before and then running for 1200. So we've definitely got a lot of support underneath this area. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on Tesla over the next few days and see if, and see if any of these bulls that have been bought in, they've been holding in for probably about a year now, see if any of them are
Yeah.
willing to defend with with some of the shares they probably sold back at 1200, see if they're willing to buy back in at this lower level. The one thing we are doing on Tesla is we're now under the average price, right? So VWAP on the daily, we've been sitting well under that now for quite a while. I mean, let's maybe a couple weeks now. We've been
Yeah,
holding
yeah.
under VWAP. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with Tesla, which could certainly give us some more information about what might happen more broadly.
Yeah, I agree. All right, AMD. We did not look at AMD, and we have not looked at Apple. We'll take a look at both of those here. Nigma over on YouTube. Thank you. So AMD right now, AMD is looking good. I mean, they're wearing the red, popping up here now in the green, almost 1.1. Yeah, I think you could watch AMD today. Apple,
AMD
similar
will be on list
situation.
today for sure.
Yeah,
AMD's
AMD
been
looks good.
defending $100 very
Hmm.
nicely. I'd like to see it if the market bounces at all today. I'd like to see if AMD picks up a bid at 100.
Yeah, AMD is looking good. I agree with you as well. The daily looks much better. Nvidia is another one that you can keep an eye on. Very similar to Apple as well. I'm gonna put Apple as a secondary because it's another good one to watch also, just in case. Phil, you're giving us A, B, and B, Airbnb there. You know what? I know they're on our gap up or down list. I don't remember. But for the most part, it's not a great intraday trading stock. I find the volume to be too light for me to trade. And the price movements reminds me a little bit of like a QCOM type play where you can get it can get trending, but the volume is just doesn't seem to be explosive on it. So that's the only reason why I don't keep it on my list. I just don't like the way this thing moves around.
One
So
thing, Carlos, that I like to
yeah.
add too on as you're looking at A, B, and B on Carlos's 5-minute chart there, look how large the opening range is. Notice the opening range on it goes as a low of like 139.84 up to like 144, right? So a
Mm-hmm.
very wide opening range. Now, if you look from the bottom of the opening range to the low of the day, you basically that would have been the move, right? You'd play that
Yeah.
range down.
Yeah.
It's basically just double the size of the opening range. That's barely enough room for any kind of reasonable RVR when you're trading. So when you guys are evaluating your stocks, this is the kind of stuff you want to look at. Once the stock breaks and makes a decision, how far does it generically go? It's not just about the stock's ATR. It's about how far does it move when it's
Right.
moving,
Right.
right? Because a stock can have a really wide ATR, but if it's chopping the whole time, that doesn't help you. You need a clean move from one area to the other. So if you're
Yeah.
going to play A, B, and B, you got to get it let it get really extended away from value, and then try and play it back the other direction. That's pretty much the only shot you're going to have for a good trade on it,
Yeah,
if you
I
get it.
agree. I agree. And ATR too could be tricky at times because you can have stocks that the ATR is way off, but if they're in play that day, the ATR really
Right.
doesn't hold a lot of
It's going
weight,
to
right?
explode the
So
ATR. That's why
yeah.
it'll be in
So
play.
yep. All right, we'll stop here, guys.
Cool.
9 a.m. I want to answer a question here. So before this one gets too far up ahead, so we have Laura Morgan over on YouTube. He's asking, it's his first day coming back to trading live after 2 months of paper trading. He has X amount of dollars and wants to know what he should go for. Dude, I'll tell you this. The first thing is if you're asking what you're going to trade, there's something wrong with the process. So at BBT, if you go through our courses, we're going to teach you that you really have to have a plan in place in a trade book. So if you haven't set that up yet, you are most likely going to give that money to the markets. I mean, it's just, and I say it from experience, right? When I first started, same thing. I gave money to the market. I donated to the market, and I realized, okay, I got to go get myself straightened out. But if you don't have a plan in place, you're not going to find the answer here on YouTube, and you're not going to find it almost anywhere else, right? At least it's not going to be a good answer. So again, a little harsh, but that's the truth. You got to get a trade book together. We'll teach you how to do that. You got to get a plan in place. If not, take that 200 and go do something fun because you will give it to the market. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree with Carlos more on that. And I want to support you, trader on YouTube, in this endeavor. It's if you only have a certain amount of money, well, you certainly don't want to risk all of it, right? So the first thing you need to define it to yourself, how much of that money are you willing to risk? Then start, building yourself a system around that. So, we can't just say, hey, YOLO Roblox today, right? Because
No,
that's
no, no,
not
no.
fair for you,
Yep.
right? Because there's so much more into this. So I can't just tell you what to buy today because I don't know what the market's going to do 5 minutes from now. Once the market opens, we get a whole different look, of what the market's going to do than what happens right now. So if honestly, if any guru, furu, whoever you are talking to out there says, hey, today, if you're going to buy anything, I'd buy Bed Bath and Beyond or something like that, they're misleading you. Like nobody should know what's happening in the market enough to just confidently tell you what to buy like right now before they even have a chance to look at price action. So we love you. We want you to stick around. We want you to be successful. Come by BBT. We'll show you how to put a system together.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'll even give you a promo code in here in a little bit, and you can do it for pretty cheap.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, here's if you guys are not following Andrew on Twitter, you should. He's putting a lot of dope stuff up here. I want to show you a quote that he put in not so long ago, which I completely agree with. And we got time 9:03. That's right. This is important. Where is it here? He put something up. I was like, man, that is deep there. Let's go look for it. He was talking about here we go. Here we go. Sometimes the best thing in the trading that can happen to you is not profiting from a bad and from a bad trade, I believe, and without a trade plan. Yeah. So basically, not profiting from from having not having a plan. So, I mean, guys, it happens, and it's not really about the dollar amount too. It can happen to anybody with a big account. $40,000. It doesn't matter. If you don't have a plan in place, you're going to give your money to the market. So build that plan, guys. All right, let's get to our community events and announcement for this week and next. I'm gonna bring this over to you. And actually, Thor, I believe these are not completely up to date. So just read out what's coming up for this week.
Yeah, we'll do. Before I get into that, just remember, I want you guys to Google a little thing called the Dunning-Kruger Effect for all you new traders out there. And it just talks about reaching this kind of peak competency when you're inexperienced at something. Basically, just how being experienced can just give you this bizarre edge, but until reality comes true, right, you don't really start getting into anything. So just remember what, like that quote said that Carlos was pointing out, the worst thing that you can kind of do sometimes is have success being lucky, right? You just pick some things, you make that, and you actually think it works, and then by the time you pay attention, by the time you get back around, all of a sudden, it's all gone. You've spent all your money, and you don't know why. And the reason is you never really knew what you were doing in the first place. You just kind of hit this, it's kind of like going to the, play putt golf or something. Never played putt golf in your whole life, and you just hole in one half of the things out there. Doesn't mean you're a professional golfer. Right, it just means you hit a couple good balls. But anyway, let's roll on here, and so we're gonna look at what's just moving forward for the next what's going on. So next Monday, we've got our guy Carl here is going to be talking about trade journaling, and it's going to be talking about correlating your data. So really important part of finding consistency in the market is actually being able to know what you're looking at and what data you're getting from it. Remember, there's winners and then there's losing trades, true, but there is no losing trade if you get good data from it. If you actually paid the market some money, but you learned something, you got data from it that you can query and make decisions about your path moving forward, that's everything. That makes the money worth it. So come by, and thank you. That actually was yesterday. That one was yesterday. All right. Tonight, that's right, because we're back one. All right, now I'm with it. Tonight, I guess I'm presenting something. Who knew? No, I'm kidding. So we're going to be talking tape reading. This is going to be the third lesson in tape reading, and this is going to be a little bit different of a method. The first 20 minutes of this one is going to be a presentation I'm going to be doing, actually just reading recorded tape so everyone can see exactly how it goes, what orders are coming across. And then the last half of it's just going to be a straight Q&A. We've done so much tape reading. I think everyone's really starting to build in, but I think there's a couple of little odds and ends you guys are going to want to talk about and see. So we're just going to roll the tape, literally, let you guys see what's going on, and then we're just going to Q&A about it and just blow out. Joe, I know you can't be there, buddy, but we will record it, and I'll have it posted up for you as soon as I can get it there. All right. We have Wednesday, which would be tomorrow. We're going to have Mike talking about probabilities part 2, how to employ your tradebook edge just like a casino does. Man, it's going to be fun. Good part about this whole thing is we have to all recognize, right, that we're really sophisticated gamblers up in here. Making yourself the house is going to put you at a good advantage. So check out Mike. He's got some tips for you there. All right. Thursday mentoring. Thursdays have turned into my favorite days of the week. I love mentoring. I love talking with the traders and working with all of y'all and just having a lot of fun. Now, thanks to mostly the traders and your guys' just desire for it is now turned into this big thing all day Thursday now. We've got Andrew at 11. We often have Artie coming in to sub in for him if he can't be there, and sometimes Artie carries over into noon. We've got mentorship with Ed coming by at 4:30 to our room to just bring a little piece of the jungle over to BBT. And man, it is just always so great. Also, on a couple days a week, Ed comes by the room at at noon, and does a noon to 1 session too, which is just incredible. And then you get me in the evenings. We normally open up the room around 7:45. We throw on some music. Everyone has a good time, and then we talk trading for an hour and have a blast. So if you guys, a lot of the rooms out there will give you, lots of different, little tools. What we wanted to give you was ourselves. We want to make sure that you guys have access to us at least a few times a week where you can come in and ask questions. That's why it's not just about reading web pages. It's about actually talking to people. All right, we've got the free BBT replay at www.stocktradingsimulator.com. We have this really cool website here, which I've really been a fan of. Our guy, Eamon, has been spending a ton of time helping out with this, emailing out watch list ideas, strategies, homework, all kinds of different stuff. Go into the website. You can log stuff. You can tweet it. I mean, you can do all kinds of fun stuff from here and really practice trading before you have to even invest a dime into a trading platform, data feeds, or any of that stuff. You can read the book and then start practicing some of the strategies in a stress-free, zero risk environment. I told you a little earlier I had a promo code for you. Here it is. Interested in joining Bear Bull Traders? You can test drive BBT for 1 week for $24. Normally $39 for the test. Kicking it down here. Norm is still not back from vacation, so we're still pushing the love. Discount code premarket24. We also got our Valentine's sale. I think if you and your significant other is looking to check out trading and get in here, well, why not get 50% off the Elite Annual Membership? Because that looks like buy one, get one to me. So, come in here, hang out with your, bring the love to BBT, bring your partner with you, and save a little money in the process.
All right, Thor, thank you very much. All right, my friends, let's get to our list this morning, which is pretty short right now. That would change, though. I think things are starting to pick up here. You see a little more names coming up on our gappers list this morning, and we'll look forward to what the moderators have put together on their side. I see Dima got a couple of things on there, but very similar to what I have. Tiffany as well, Mike. So we'll check those out in just a sec here. All right, let's take a look here. Coop this morning on my list. I mean, they're down huge today, guys. 28%. Have we hit the bottom here already? And are we looking to close this gap on the north side of things? So we'll keep this one on here. The key for this was going to be managing your risk accordingly and making sure you are not, taking a huge size on this, right? You guys, you can take a very, very decent, respectable size on your trades, and you can make a decent amount of money, especially if something can move, $1 or $2 very easily, right? You don't need to take a bunch of shares there. And also it'll help you on the back end if you got to hold for pullbacks. If you got to hold for $1 pullback. Yesterday, my trade on Baba, my stop was $1, $1 away, but I was expecting a $2, $3 move or so, right? So you don't need to take a whole lot of shares. We took a very short amount of shares there. Low of the pre-market on this one, guys, 60, no, that's not 62. Hold on. Why is that showing like that? Oh, that's weird. That range is showing different than my actual low here. Interesting. All right, but it is 62, 62.26. All right, so we'll put that on there. And then the high of this is going to be 66.44. 1 second, guys. I want to make sure I'm giving you good data here. And this is the close, and this is the pre-market action. Yes, and Thor, can you check this one on your end? COUP, and see what you have up here on this range, because usually I always look up here on the range to confirm, and that's different than what I have in my highs and lows. Just check if that's just me or if it's something.
Mine looks like yours.
Okay.
64.5801 dash 64.31.
Okay, interesting. All right, but I show the highs of 66.44 and 62.26. We'll go with that for now. And then we have the huge gap here, guys, all the way to 90. I mean, massive. We have not been down here in a very long time. 2020 still not showing anything. We're going all the way back. I mean, have we been down here ever? No. Guys, this is interesting. All-time lows. I mean, we have not been anywhere here. The last time it looks like we might have no, this is all-time low. There's nothing else on here besides these two levels, and that's all you have. So definitely very interesting. I'm definitely keeping that one on my list. That that's going to be exciting to watch at the open. Just be careful with the size, as I mentioned earlier. Guys, here's NEO at $13. Yes, you heard correct. NEO at $13, $13.30. Low of the pre-market, 13.07. We'll put a level there. And we've been lower for sure on NEO, but we are at least 52 plus weeks low here. We're going back to 2020 when this thing started to come alive a little bit here. And if we look at our daily, we see some levels here going back that are kind of reflecting previous day close, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. We're going to mark down this level here over at 1170 towards the bottom. We have a good one here, decent at 1050, which is a good one because 1050 is a whole dollar. So when you're far out, you're probably going to respect that anyways. And then I like this one right in here, guys. 1245, 1250-ish. You have a lot of days opening, closing, and just slamming up against that level. I know we're going far back, guys, 2020, but I'm going to put that on there. I think it's decent to see if that is going to get respected or not. Here we have the high of the pre-market is pretty much slamming with the highs of with the lows of yesterday. So you do not need to add anything on there. And see, this one is showing correct. 1381 is the high and 1307 is the low. So that's showing correctly there. All right, so that is BABA. I'm sorry, NEO. Here is BABA, guys, which has been so good to us to the downside. Again, showing some more weakness today, down 4.1. The thing on this one, though, I would love to short it again. I did not short it pre-market this time because I have a feeling we might get a pop now. I think it's too extended, but I'm trying to
say
be.
Baba's order book right now actually looks a little bullish. So
it does? Okay, good.
I would be careful shorting it today.
Yeah,
we've already dropped. We're already very well extended to the downside for this range.
We're so
I think
extended.
we can get a little squeeze on these today.
Yeah, we're so extended on this one. Agree, man.
Squeeze or chop.
Yeah, or yeah, I was gonna say squeeze or chop or sideways action. High of the pre-market 75.39 and 72.11 is your low here. And then you got tons of levels towards the top here. I would love a squeeze on this. I think it's the better trade today if we can get that. Here's AMD, guys. Low of the pre-market slamming at a 100. As you mentioned, Thor, this thing trying to hold that 100 support there. It's been doing that on the daily for quite some time. The few times we've been down here, you can see that $100 mark is. It's been great for this one. Notice how much tighter the range is getting here. Right, so we're kind of getting into a tighter range as we are trading compared to what we have done in the past. We'll see. Maybe not today, but AMD definitely looking interesting for days to come. Below 100, do we have anything? We should, of course. Look again. That 100 continues to go all the way down to August, September.
See what I mean? That 100 level.
Yeah, it is a good level, man. AMD is not trying to lose that for sure. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong key here. Here's the level. We're going to put just this one here. Not a great level, 98.23. Not the best. This one's much better. I don't think we'll get to 94 today. It's not going to happen. But this is much better. Just a midpoint there, just in case we do decide to flush this morning. All right, guys, that's our least Coop, NEO, BABA, and AMD. We got tons of possibles. And actually, you know what? Did we do Airlines? Oh, I forgot to scroll up. We have Airlines up here, guys. Let's do these two quickly. American Airlines towards the bottom, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. We do have here a 15.44, and all the way up here we have another level at 16.72. I like these today, guys. They're showing great volume and lots of strength this morning with the way the overall market is. And oil is down, correct? Prices are down a little bit, so that is helping them. 37.40 is high of the pre-market, and then up here you have another one on 39.41 for United Airlines. And very similar situation, guys, towards the bottom, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. All right, we are set there. We're travel companies. You have CCL. You can also look at as well. They don't look great yet, though. Volume's starting to pick up. We need a little bit more out of those guys. Let's bring in our moderators lineup. And as I'm doing this, guys, over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so already. We are sitting at 210. We just need, that's good for Thor, but we want to show Thor some love and support. Let's get him to 260. Can we get him to 260? Thor would like be doing backflips if we can get to 260 over on YouTube. So thank you, guys. Appreciate the support.
Not literal ones because that would be painful, but emotional ones for sure.
There we go. Let's bring our gappers list. Our moderators lineup over
Although
here,
for
guys.
260, I could try one, and that would probably just be hilarious. But
yeah, but then we won't see you for like a month as you try to recover from your back. We don't want that. No. Me and you are too old for that, man.
Fair enough. True stories.
Oh man. All right, here we go. Let's take a look.
Maybe a poorly executed cartwheel.
My brother went to one of these trampoline parks. He did one, and he landed like
Oh my
right on
gosh.
his back. His stomach and muscles were messed up for like months on it. So
Yeah,
lesson learned.
we got a couple of those here. My kids love those things, and yeah, it's the same thing. I'm like, y'all have fun, and they're like, why? And I'm like, because if you fall down,
Just
you
straight
bounce
up and
back. If
down.
I fall down, I go to the hospital. So
Just up and down, man. Just up and down. None of that fancy stuff. All right, we got 270.
yeah,
Thank you
look at
guys.
Baba right now.
Let's take a look at this moderators lineup. What's going on with Baba? You know what? Let's read this first, and then we'll look at Baba in a second.
Yeah, hit your lineup.
Dima here, CCL, United, Baba, and Apple. Peter reporting once back today. Mike, mRNA, Apple. Tiffany's looking at United, Apple, and Tesla. Jared, AMC, mRNA, Apple this morning, and the secondary list HYMC and Zoom on his end there. Adding Baba and Neo, which again these are very very active this morning. Have been just incredible the last couple of days. Eamon, he has a good list today. PFE, potential shorts, Lucid, PLTR, Coin will only play only one of these as they look similar. Okay. Megan is looking at PayPal, West Fargo, WFC, and I almost said good morning, and GM. Brian is looking at mRNA, JD, Delta Airlines, and Baba. And we had a bet that you were going to put Becky on your list, but you didn't. So me and Thor both lost that bet there.
So glad I didn't put money on that. I almost did.
Yeah. Thor's looking at mRNA, Baba, AMD, Apple, and Neo on his list today, guys. Thank you so much for joining the pre-market prep. We got to 274. Thor will send a video on Twitter later trying to do a backflip off his trampoline into the pool, and we will thank him for that very, very much. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will go ahead in the chat room. Brian and Andrew are up next with some live trading. And remember, tonight we have our strategy, and tonight is Mike. Mike is tonight, so looking forward to that this evening. Take care, guys, and trade safe. And Thor, thank you for covering for Norm today. Appreciate it.
Always, brother.